Okay. What's this? Gotta wash some. I don't understand here. What's going on? Good morning, everybody. Picking up exactly where we left off yesterday. Yes, keeping up with the crows. We're working on the print we left off yesterday. We're not actually making prints here, we're testing paper. I've got 4 sheets of test paper inside, none of which will end up with a real print, but we're testing the block and testing the paper. Actually, just got the print in the mail today. What would this be? Ah, this would be the young lady in the water, right? Yes. So, okay, to recap, for those who weren't here yesterday, we're doing a test run here. I've got 4 sheets of paper in my stack. We've got 2 sheets of paper from our traditional supplier, Iwano Ichibe-san in Fukui Prefecture. We've got 2 sheets of paper, the new paper we've been testing. There was confusion in the stream yesterday. I used 2 terms to describe it. I talked about the Corso paper, and then I also talked about Sawaki-san's paper. It's the same thing. The man involved is Sawaki Kenji is his name. And the workshop name he uses for his outfit is Corso Yard. He's taken it from Italian. I have no idea what it means. On his website, it's probably Corso Yard, C-O-R-S-O Yard.com. He may explain this. I don't have any idea. Anyway, we're testing Sawaki-san's paper here today. So I've got 4 sheets in here, and I've done a couple of impressions so far. We've done the background the background warm tone for the moon. Now we've done 2 impressions of the background blue. And you can see dramatically that the 2 types of paper we're testing are very different colors. Even in the bad white balance on this camera. You can see the traditional paper is quite white, it's very bleached. And the new paper is more of a natural color. He doesn't artificially bleach it. This is the natural color of the Kozo fiber. And the girls had been having trouble printing this on any kind of paper. And they were asking me to test this to see if the blocks were okay. And so far, so good. So the blocks do seem all right. With the Corso paper, it's turned out that I can't use the same combination of paste, water, moisture, and pressure to print them. And we'll talk about that as we go along today, because I'm going to probably get the same results today. We're going to take these through to the end today. The finished print, in our production version, the finished print looks, take it out of the plastic here, looks something like this. Different printers here have been using different colors, and we talked about this yesterday. And there's really no hardcore original for this. It's been adapted and used over the years by different publishers, so there's no specific original that one artist created one day. The image is based on something by Ogata Koren, a famous screen painter, but he never had anything to do with woodblock prints. So there is no clear original to follow here. So we've done it before, sometimes a bit of a lighter blue. My own personal taste is something for a bit of a darker tone like this. Again, if you see it on the better white balance camera, this is the tone I myself prefer. Anyway, that's not the argument today. The point is just to try and see how this paper is doing. So what you'll see today now, I'm going to do first up, I'm going to put on the gradation. There's a gradation at the bottom, a faint gray gradation that comes up. Then after that, I may do the blue background one more time. I'll put in the faint tree branches. I've got to do a bit of a tint on the moon. You can't see it here really, I think, but there's a tint there. And I've got to do the black crows, which will take 2 impressions. And probably we're not going to get through this today. As I said, it's not a quick production run, because I'm going to be stopping and looking at the paper and testing and trying different things. But this is what's going to be going on today. And also, I have another job facing me that I might, again, pause this work to do, in that I have a stack of paper here that is ready to be moistened for printing. And if you look at the size of this paper, you might be able to guess what kind of print we're going to be making of these. And if you're going to guess a Senshafta, you're right, or one of the prints we call chibi prints. And what's happening is we're running out. These are the Patreon prints we've been making this past year for our Patreon supporters. And more people keep joining, leaving. So originally we made them all in pairs to send to the same person in the summer and the same person in the winter. There's a whole bunch of people though who have joined and left and joined and left, and now we find ourselves short of the second one. So what we have to do is we have to print up another 100 copies of the bottom one. We don't need the top one. That's finished. That's historical now. But as people keep joining the Patreon, we keep needing the bottom one. And then next spring is tomorrow, next spring, summer, April, May, we'll be issuing a new pair, and these will be retired. Anyway, I'm talking too much. I got to get to work. Put that away for now. I'll come back and do this in a few minutes. Right now I've got to get going with some printing here. I see messages are being held for review. How do I do that? I can click the allow button because it looks okay. Okay, first up is a gradation. And maybe actually I've perhaps never done gradations on stream before. I don't know. I don't remember. Let's have a go. This in thirds. Okay, for the gradation we need a cloth to moisten the block on, and it's got to have a clean tile to sit on between impressions. And the cloth is going to be used to moisten the part of the block. The gradation works from solid color to 0, and in between it tapers off. And the moistening cloth is used to moisten the block in the area where the taper will take place. We don't need to moisten it in the place where the color will be strong, and it's irrelevant up at the top. So the block just needs to be moistened now in this area. Now as we go, print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, we'll be picking up pigment. This block will be covered with pigment and clean. So the moistening brush is going to start picking up pigment. And it will tend to get pigment at the bottom and nothing at the top. So if I slap it down on the tile any old way, pigment will be moving around and will get screwed up. So the orientation is vital. Whatever way I do it, I'm about 1 centimeter off, just like this, left hand, it goes back here. I will have to reproduce that same movement exactly each time. Now for printing the gradation, I got a fresh new brush here with nothing in it. Now we're testing the paper still. Have I got a work table? No, not at all. This is I'm just stealing one of the tables upstairs here. I don't have a work table. For the brush, we're going to do a gradation, so it means pigment is going to be at one end and paste is at the other end. And in order not to get mixed up, what I usually do myself is I just make some kind of mark at one end. That's going to be the pigment end, that's going to be the paste end, so that I don't get it confused and mixed up. It has its own tile, and I'll need one more tile. Oh, I don't have one. Excuse me a minute, I gotta go grab another tile. Yes. Tiles. Where are the tiles? Tiles. Sorry, Chico-san, I'm going to borrow a tile from your bench. Tile and pigment. Just a sec, excuse me a moment here. Workspace squatter, nee. So I'm stealing. I steal pigments from all the neighborhood benches here. What am I going to do? Okay, here we go. I should just do a couple first and then try and explain. If I explain too much, I can't do this. Okay, here's the brush. It's going to be a gradation brush. At the moment it's dry. Okay. All right, let's give a test here. Tests. Based on the block. Pigment just at the bottom of the brush. Oh, I have a problem. Somebody didn't wash the brush last time they used it. It's full of pigment. Okay, plan B. Let's go and get another brush. Let me go and wash this one. See what's happened? The brush itself was full. Somebody left it and didn't clean it. So it was full of blue pigment here, blue-gray. So my gradation's in there, but this thing is full of blue. So, pause. Excuse me for a minute. I got to go and wash this brush. Back in a sec. Well, let's just change for another one. What are we going to do here? Okay, actually, now let's just change for a new one. Change for a new one. Also, what we're getting to now that I think about it, the block was used yesterday for printing blue, and it's still got lots of blue pigment, so that's what's picking up here as well. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, it's okay. I see what's happening. All right. The brush is all right. It's just stuff at the bottom. What we're doing is picking up from the block here, so. Okay, let's have a go at this. So the first few goes are going to pick up blue from the area that we had printed yesterday. So, all right, let's try this again. Ready? Paste all over the brush. Bit of darker pigment at the bottom end. We can put some here too. Let's go. Mostly straight motion side to side, and a little bit of twist to bring the pigment up a little bit, Is it windy outside? I think there was a siren you heard just now. I'm not sure. I didn't hear specifically any wind. It was a storm last night. We had a rainstorm last night. I heard the wind pounding against the windows. But now it seems to be a quiet morning. It's an overcast, quiet morning here. Here we go. Okay, there's our gradation up from the bottom. This is test paper. Let's have a look. Let's try it on the real washi. The brush police. Yes, no, the competence police. Paste. And let's go with the pigment here. We need a good orientation. Okay, here we go. First one of the day. First sheet up is Iwano-san's paper. We've got a basic blue, no gradation yet. Not sure if we need cover. Yeah, I think we do. There we go. Can we catch it? Deeper from the bottom. It's a bit distorting right now because we see here the effect of the water. This paper is wetter than normal, so the line you see here will disappear soon. Not sure if this can be visible or not. Can you catch it? It's just a bit deeper now at the bottom side. It's still a bit too much of a strong line. We shouldn't see that wet line once the water is, what's the word? Once the water has seeped through. Next up is Corso paper. Not sure how it's going to do. Let's see. Basic blue, not good color saturation. No, the color didn't want to go into this paper yesterday. So. Okay, the gradation looks okay, but have a look at this. Can you see? If I get close, can you see what's happening here? See the swirly? I'm not sure if you can see them in the camera. They're there. They're visible. See the lines? What look like white lines here. These are Baran-Suji, marks left by the Baran. Sometimes we want them, but we certainly don't want them here. And they're white, not blue. This paper really doesn't want to take the pigment, and the more you press it, the more you get just water. I don't know about this paper, you know, I really don't know. Anyway, press on, just keep going, just keep going. We got no such lines in the Iwano version a moment ago. Right? Next one up is Iwano-san's paper. We'll do the same thing. And I'm going to decrease the amount of paste I'm putting in here. At the beginning the brush was empty. We needed a lot of paste. Now it's getting full, so we don't have to do the same amount each time. The first few prints always get more pigment or paste than the subsequent prints. The brush is empty and it's got to get loaded. Okay, Iwano-san paper. Beautiful, smooth, clean, nice background. Let's see what it looks like now with a light gradation on. Hardly any difference to see here. Keeping it quite light, let's see. So, it's mostly at the bottom here. It hasn't come up very far. Let's do that again. Next up, Corso paper. What I'll do this time is I switched there. The Baran I used a moment ago gave the strong lines. It's a bit too strong of a Baran. I've switched to a medium. It's a medium Baran. Okay, Corso paper before the gradation. I love the color of this paper, you know. Okay, now let's keep it lighter so we don't get Baran marks. Paper is obviously very, very, very soft. Nice, isn't it? Can you see? Again, it's hard to tell at the moment the effect of the water and the effect of the pigment. It looks quite different at the moment than it does when it'll be finished. Now this gradation is way too light, I think. Just at the beginning, when we compare with the original that we were doing, we're looking at quite a difference between here. So this is, I think I'll need to do this one more time. But if I do it one more time right now, the paper is saturated and full of moisture too much. So instead of doing it right on top, I'm going to switch blocks out. And we're going to go and do another impression first. This is the tree. You can see how close I can get in zooming. This is the block for the overhanging tree. The tree areas here. Get some of the water out of it. It's much, much too wet. Sometimes about the color. The new paper is the same color as the current one. No, the new paper is totally different color. I know. What we've done with the new paper is it was his choice and our choice too. We asked him not to bleach this, not to artificially change the color. So the new paper that's in here, the paper from Sawaki-san, is just completely, totally the color of the mulberry fiber and nothing else. The paper we've been using for years from Iwano-san is heavily bleached, which we're really not so happy with. Well, you see what I did here. I just used some copy paper to take out some extra moisture here. Back to normal. Yeah, it's okay. I think I'll go back then. Sorry to be a bit changing my mind around here, but I think I'll go and do that again. As I said, it's not a clear workflow today, just testing and testing. So maybe I'd like to go back and do that gradation again. It's still too light. Let's do this before we move on to that tunnel. Before we move on to that tree. Okay. Change. Let's do this again. Okay. You can see where my rag, it started picking up paper now. Picking up the pigment, you can see. Let's fold it up, give it a new surface. It's got 8 surfaces, the rag, after you folded it a certain way. You can see the way I've done it. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 surfaces. So once you've been doing it for a while, one of them starts to pick up too much pigment. There's 8 different ways to use it. You can refold and refold. And after you've used up your 8 faces, toss it and start with another one. Too much talk here. What's this? Might a thicker sizing help the paper take the pigment better? I'm not so sure about that. What a thicker or heavier sizing does, it makes the paper stronger and harder, more resistant to rubbing with the baren. The paper pulls up less, but it doesn't let the pigment go inside. When the sizing is too strong or too hard or too heavy, whatever word we use here, that resists printing. As a printer, our ideal, the sort of holy grail we would love to have, is paper with no sizing, paper that is so soft the pigment smoothly seeps inside it. And sizing makes it harder. It's a real paradox. I know. Just a minute. Yeah, now we're coming up with this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. It's our old favorite Iwano sandpaper. We now have really quite get the paper here. We really have quite a nice gradation effect up from the bottom. You know, if these guys could be reliable with their paper, if they could be reliable, we wouldn't even think of abandoning them. We'd be happy to stay with them. I've been with them for 30 years. I'd be happy to stay. The whole point that we're having this conversation about new paper is just unbearable. But, what can you say? It's like that kids thing. When they're good, and when they're bad, they're terrible. You know, when they're good, they're wonderful and great, and when they're bad, they're unbearably bad. You know? It's just the consistency is no longer there. We never know. We order a batch of paper, 300, 400, 500 sheets, and we never know what's going to come in the door. That's why we're exploring new paper makers. You know, it's a kind of a tragedy, actually. Okay, this is Corso paper, the one we got all those lines with. I can't erase those. Those lines will never be covered up now. Those swirls. Remember I showed you before the close-up, the swirls. We can never cover those up. We can print on top and print on top and print on top till the cows come home. And those lines will still be there. So this is not fixable, but again, just to keep it in, keep testing. So why am I using the cover? Because the paper at the moment is very, very soft. I've printed it 2 or 3 times. Lots of water inside because of the gradation. The paper is very soft. And without this paper, those striation lines would be much, 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 much stronger. Got your winter Patreon print. You mean you got this one to show? The one with the tree. Good. I'm going to be printing more of those. If you're late coming here, I'm going to be making some paper wet. You're going to be seeing this on the next stream over the next few days. Here we go. Yeah, the overall effect is nice. If I don't get too close up, if I stand back, this looks good. We're getting a good gradation, but the problem is we've still got the striations. Eh? They're never going to go away. Okay, back to Iwano Sans paper. Sorry if this is not interesting, but you know, just I have to do these things on these sheets of paper. And once we dry them, sit and look at them carefully, think about what we've done and what we've got. I'm sorry if this is not such a specifically interesting, get some work done stream. You know. Might be okay. You don't really get a chance to see us do gradations very often, so it's okay, I think. Do we get a refund for bad sheets? No, because the definition of what's a bad sheet is all totally subjective, you know. We're convinced the paper's changed, it's different. We phone them, we talk to them, they're saying, oh, it's the same stuff, same material, same blah, 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 same blah, blah, blah. It's all subjective. Yeah, getting deep and rich. Look at this. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, one more. How many gradations could we do a one print? I don't know, how high can you count? There's no limit, really. As long as we do this carefully, keep the moisture control careful, there's no limit, nothing. I don't know, what can I think of as an example? Ask somebody to Google here for me. If you go to, Paul Jacolet. I can't think of any specific, which one of his specific prints might have the most gradations, but if somebody Googles in the background there, the printmaker Paul Jacolet, how do you pronounce it? Jacoulet. He's dead now. He died just around 1960s or somewhere around there when I was a kid. He was a Frenchman living in Japan. He designed prints. He's not a printmaker. He was a designer, an artist. And he self-published. He hired carvers and printers to publish his work. And some of it's quite bizarre, quite sort of outre sexuality, whatever, that really didn't fit his era. If he was living now, he'd be much more successful. And he did some prints with 300, 400, 500 blocks, or 300, 400, 500 impressions with any number of tiny gradations. I've got a couple myself in my collection. I can't afford them, they're too expensive. Has somebody got a link there? You're busy searching in the background. I can't think of a specific print name. Paul Jacolet Woodbuck prints. Oh, here we are. We're okay. Again, the Corso paper, you know, if I stand back and look at it, it's fine. It's doing its job now, but when you look up close, look at this. The texture is awful. You can see white spots, places where the pigment hasn't gone in. The texture is awful. He might be fine for doing stuff like some of those Yoshida prints where you print the ground texture, earth, and things like that. But for ukiyo-e prints, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Okay, flip it back in. Now we'll do that block switch to the tree. Sorry about the confusion earlier. And again, the paper is a bit too wet again, so this is sometimes necessary, you know, after each impression. If I were making 100 sheets here, we would do this sheet number 1, sheet number 2, sheet number 3, and it would be a couple of hours, 3 or 4 hours before I get back to number 1. So the paper has time to settle and smooth out. But because I've only got 4 sheets here, every 5 minutes or so it comes back around to the beginning, and the paper hasn't settled down. It's not ready. The moisture is just still too sitting up there in the paper. So we've got to try and pull some of that excess water out. Which is this? That's number 1. This wouldn't be necessary if I were doing a long full edition. Oh, someone's got a Paul Jacolet link. So those are big prints too. He worked at a fairly large size. So a lot of the prints you see are about this big. They're stupendous, and they're hundreds and hundreds of impressions. He was working at a time in the 50s. Well, he worked before the war. He was an intern during the war, and then he was free to work again after the war. He lived in Japan all through those years. And he self-published. He hired carvers and printers. He hired Maeda Kintaro for a lot of his work. Ono Gintaro. These were the people who were doing Hasui prints for Watanabe. Jacolet also hired them. And he basically, I guess, gave him carte blanche. He would just draw the things and more gradations and more gradations and more. And I guess the carver's just saying, are you sure you want to go ahead with this? And Jacolet's just, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. And the advantage he had that we don't have right now is that Japan at that point, in the pre-war and in the just immediately after the war, was still sort of a third world country, and the currency, the Japanese yen, was worthless compared to other international currencies. So Westerners who were here, and that was Jacques market, Americans and Europeans who were here in Japan, Westerners here were rich. Whatever they had francs and pounds and dollars. And any one of those Western currencies would buy tens and tens of thousands of Japanese yen. Because the yen was just such a worthless currency at that time still. This is before Japan's industrialization. So he had the wonderful advantage that his sales market, his consumers, were rich foreigners, rich being just normal foreigners who are here in Japan, and rich because of that. And his production costs, the carvers and printers and paper, were in Japanese yen. So it was a glorious, and he didn't even know it at the time that it was a temporary thing. Of course, he didn't know that the yen was going to be climbing and climbing and climbing. We now see that in retrospect. But people who were here in the 1950s and 60s, my God, they were rich, rich, rich. And even earlier, going back to Meiji time, the Westerners who were here in Japan were just so rich. That's why those prints were created. That's how there was a window of opportunity for those prints to be created. You know, if I could take $10 for a print now and pay 10 pennies to the printers to have it made, I'd be laughing all the way to the bank. I would have a Rolls Royce outside. But unfortunately, I have to take $10 for the print and pay $9 to the printers. This is why you don't see new Shinhanga, you know, those prints from Hasui and Koitsu and all those things with 50, 60, 70 impressions. This is why we can't make those anymore from scratch on large size, because the production costs are just too high. Okay, let's do some tests here. What do I want? I want a gray blue here, so let's just put some bit of black. We'll keep using our blue here. We're going to mix things together. And for this one, we need a flat batter. This says almost, the coil is so tiny, tiny, tiny details on the coil. We've talked about this before. When the Baron has fewer bumps, it's powerful. When the Baron has tiny, 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 many, many, many smaller bumps, the Baron has no strength at all. And that's what we're using now. I've switched to, the girls have numbered at number 1. I don't know where the numbering system came from, but this is our lightest, weakest, flattest Baron. It's one that we got through Yahoo auctions some years ago. Okay, let's have a look. What have we got here? Just a little bit too strong, I think. Well, let's try this. Might still be too dark. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. This is all still just test anyway. Doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. Iwano paper first as usual. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our print. Looking nice. By the way, you might be worried why there's no margin at the top. I don't care about this. This print, when we do issue it, it's trimmed. We trim it, we make it as a bleed print. So it'll be trimmed off all the way around. So it doesn't matter that the paper's missing at the top. Now, where is it? I can't remember. Where's the... Where do I rub? Up here, come on. Can't remember where it is. Here we are. This is funny too. When you do an edition, your hands learn where the thing is, but at the moment, this is sheet number 1. I have no idea where it is. Yeah, looking good. Misty tree. Tree in the mist. Nice, nice. I could get to like this printmaking thing, you know. There's no question if this were a contest today between the two types of papers, there's no question the Iwano paper would be winning, you know. Smooth and deep. Color tone I like the other one, but it just won't make beautiful color. What's the point? Today the girls are right. You mean the girls have been frustrated. They've been unable to print this properly. I know what we're doing here is I'm a step ahead of where they are. I've been able to print some kind of attractive color. But when you look down really, really closely, it's not the kind of color we would like to publish. It's not the kind of prints we would like to be making. You know. So yeah, they're right in that we don't know how to handle this paper. Absolutely. But are they right in that we'll never be able to use it? I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway, here we are. Okay, what's next? Now, next is interesting. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show it to you. I'll show you how to do it. I mean, You can watch me do this, but whether you're going to be able to see the result or not, I don't know. In the moon here, there's actually color in the moon. There, you saw me print before. I printed the paper area with a pale yellow red. I'm not sure if this is going to show. Can you see that in the moon there is actually a bit of a tint? I don't know if this is going to come out. There's actually a tiny little bit of a color tint in the moon area. Try and find one where it's going to show a bit more. Can you see it here maybe? I don't know. I don't know if this shows on the camera here. There's a bit of a reddish tint blurred in the middle of the moon. It's around here on this one. And rather than have just a pale, cool moon, just give it a bit of a tiny color tint. Can you see it? I don't know. If you can see it here, this was printed a bit too much. Can you see it? This was sort of a reddish tint in the central area of the moon here. It's there, but it just barely shows. In real life, when you're sitting here holding the print, and I'm looking at it under nice light, I can see this. You maybe wouldn't even notice it, but it's there. That's what I've got to do next now. So maybe this is sort of like a magic trick. I'm going to do something and you can't see it, but whatever. And here's what we have here. We've got a block that's just the moon shape. I forgot, I'll need to go get a brush here. Hang on a sec. Well, no, what I might do. Yeah, I might use this brush, larger brush, do it in the middle of that. Let's experiment here. Okay, we need a new gradation pad. Okay, let's try this. Here's our gradation pad. The whole area just slightly damped. I can't see it yet. Let's just get there bit by bit by bit. Coming now. Too much. There we go. Jump from nothing to a little bit to too much. think we're about there. Let's see. Let's try. Sure, I'm not sure any point in showing you here. It's going to show or not, I'm not sure. There is a tint now. Probably still not strong enough. It's still very, very, very faint. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Good, go for it. Yes, nice. It is okay, again, I'm sorry to be frustrating you here, but there is actually now, there's a little pale reddish tone tint now in the middle of the moon there. This is coming nicely. We put those crows on there now. I think it's going to snap, crackle, and pop. Okay, one more on this. The next one will be much more visible. Okay, let's get to the real meat of this print. Let's put some crows in place. Now for this one, we need juicy, rich black. I've stolen one from Ishikawa-san's bench next door. It's what it is, it's a sumi pigment. She put some calligraphy ink in water and she used it to print something or other. But now it's dried out. So now it's just it's a paste. It's a creamy paste in here. And that's going to bring us up a nice rich black. Let's get the block moistened, ready to go. This one will probably be printed twice to give a good, really thick, rich effect. Huh? What's this? 9 o'clock. It must be the man himself. Is it Cameron-san?
What?
It's Cameron. Hi, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
And we'll
We had a
need...
storm this morning.
Huh?
Did you have a really bad storm over here?
I woke up partly through the night. The windows were rattling and wind and rain and stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty wild this morning from about 6:30 to 7:30.
Really? At that time? I thought it was much earlier. I don't know.
Well, we had some earlier too, but at least where we were, it was
Really?
wild this morning.
So how was the train then?
No delays, fortunately.
What?
I know. Sunny, nice day. Delay to happen.
It's a mix. I'm still testing that paper. I'm doing the scroll print.
Oh, okay.
Suga-san's been complaining that the blocks are no good and it won't work, and also the Corso paper, blah blah. So I've been running through it here.
Figure out the best way to make use of it.
Yeah, the blocks are totally okay. The blocks will make a nice print. I know clearly Iwano-san's paper impression compared with Corso's paper impression. We still don't know how to use this Corso paper,
Yeah.
I think I'm getting it done a bit better than what they've done, but still there's no way that would be acceptable to send out as a print. There's just too much murkiness and
Got it.
But the block set's fine. She was just complaining, I can't print this, and it's okay. So I'm just on the last, and then also you asked me yesterday about the Patreon chibis were
Yes.
not enough, and I did. I went through and checked the numbers, and yeah, there's been, it's in and out. People join, people leave,
Yeah.
people join, people leave. So if people were stable, if it had just been like 400 people coming and stay,
Yeah.
then the original batch would have done. But it's people, so I need another 100 or so.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got the projection shows another 40 for the next 2 months, and you
Right.
said you need more 40. So I'll make paper wet now for this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I also got a bit of good news last night. I know I can talk about this on the stream, whatever the people may understand or may not. John-san was here carving yesterday.
Yes.
He's carving on the meteoric power print. And his young lady, his girlfriend, came to pick him up at the end there. So, and what she was doing, she was here on a language visa, studying Japanese language, and she was trying to get into Geida University.
Right.
And yesterday they got the results back from all the applications for next year, and she didn't make it. This for me, I'm like Yahoo.
Didn't make it?
She didn't make it because Geida University, there's nothing there for woodblock printmaking.
Okay.
And she said last night, we went out for dinner, she said they told her that the reason they're rejecting her is because her prints were too good. And so this is the story secondhand, third hand from her. And the guy said, he leveled with her. He said, we don't teach technique here. We teach modern art. And you're trying to make beautiful prints. This is not the place for you to come. Just go
make them?
Yeah, go make them. This is the university, like the printmaking instructor who was looking over all these applications to try and decide who's going to come.
Wow.
So it's half insulting. Your art is no good. It's not what we want to do. But he leveled with her and said, we can't help you.
Wow.
So last night, the Shoes went to dinner and she's telling me this story. And for her, like, she's crushed. It's the end of her life. She can't get into Geidai. And I'm just sitting here saying, I wasn't, I said, what are you going to do now for work and stuff? And I said, I have no bench. And she says, like, she showed me her work, and I'm like, she starts next Wednesday.
Really?
She's coming next Wednesday.
That
she
is
starts
fantastic
here as a
news.
printer next Wednesday. Like, it's good news, bad news in that she doesn't want to be a printer, a shokunin, a printer. She wants to be an artist. She's got her own art and her own stuff she wants to make. So she's not going to sign on here for a lifetime career becoming a craftsman.
But we can use the new printer
Well,
right now.
so she's hungry. They got to make a living.
Yeah.
And so that's it. So she's going to work X days a week here or X hours a day. She's going to use the same bench to make her own stuff.
Okay.
So I'm just happy.
That's great.
I got to qualify. This is a young girl. She's 22 or 23 or something.
Okay.
She's petite. She's tiny. This is no craftsman who is going to bang out 500 prints a day for us. She's going to.
But she'll do them well.
She'll work on small scale, like this job for Patreon chibis I've got. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
She can eat this up and no problem. She will be slow, but the prints will be made beautifully and cleanly with nice taste. I'm half talking to Cameron. The chat's listening here. Whatever. So
cool. That's great. But can she still stay on that visa?
that's the open question. Her current visa, because she had it through a language school, is good till September.
Okay.
So she and he's on hers. He's riding on her visa.
Yeah.
So they're good to September. What happens after that, they don't know. Back to Hong Kong and then they come as tourists, I don't know. So anyway, whatever, we'll try and... I can't help them with that because I'm not a corporation who can do sponsorships and stuff,
Yeah.
But anyway, for what it's worth, it's good news.
Yeah.
Have you met her, Rachel? Did
Yes,
you see
I met
You saw her
her last
yesterday.
night too,
So. She's really, really a nice kid.
Yeah, she seems really, really nice. Cool. That's great.
Okay, crows, crows, crows. Let's put these crows in. What have we got here? It's going to be a double impression, absolutely, because there's no way I can get a jet black in one pass. There are/were printers who could do that with the proper paper and the proper preparation and the experience. I am not any such printer. I'm going to do this in 2 passes. So keeping it a bit lighter than I would. If you're trying to do it in one, you're going to cream this on and splash it. But because I know I can't do it in 1 pass, I'm going to keep things a bit lighter so as not to blob up and mess up. I have no idea if anybody's still with me out there. No, because I'm going to do this twice, I really, really, really have to get it carefully into the registration marks. Where are we? Not sure if we need that paper. Let's see. Where's the other one? A pair is here somewhere. Trying to find them. Okay, let's have a look. There we go. Nice black, but not rich enough. So in it goes, straight back, and we come straight out. I'm going to do it again. Mostly with the pigment that's still in the brush. The brush is still full of it. Bit more paste there. Trying to watch the questions here. The same thing. Can she get a cultural visa? Yes, if she's going to some kind of accredited school, like an Ikebana school or a language school or whatever. Unfortunately, Mokuhankan here is not accredited, or it's not a school, it's not anything. From the outside world's point of view, the tax people and the government and whatever, this is David's hobby. Mokuhankan is a proprietorship. It's just what I do. I make things and sell things. It's not a company, it's not a corporation, it's not a foundation. We have no status anywhere. It's just David's own wallet. So no, we can't sponsor her. I mean, I say we, it's I, from the authorities' point of view. This is just Dave sitting here. I have a permanent resident visa, so I'm allowed to, oh, look at this. Nice, nice, nice. There is basically what could be considered a finished print. Not sure if I might want to put the blue background on a bit more dense, but there we go. So as far as is this block set working, I'm going to have to fight with the girls. This block set is working. Now let's see how Corso paper takes the same thing. Hee hee hee. Good luck. Is the cultural visa a non-work visa? I'm not quite sure. You know, she was here. Student visas, you can certainly work. She was here as a student because she was enrolled in a Japanese language school. And that might be the way to take this forward. You know, send her back to school. I'll pay her school fees or something. She can do X hours a week at Japanese language school. In the meantime, she works for us. That might be one way forward with this. And when you're on a student visa, you're allowed to work X hours a week, but it seems they're not checking or counting, doesn't it? Okay, to remember to keep this softer. I've learned you can't smash this Corso paper, it just leaves those streaks. It's feathering too, it's pulling up feathers. Yes, 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 feathering. Okay, it's not a good comparison, but it's the first one. It's one impression. Let's see if it'll take a second one. So I'm not sure if it will take a second impression. Certainly no more paste. Absolutely no. Just a tiny bit of moisture just to get this spread out. But that first one might have been too much paste for this paper. Let's have a look. This may or may not print. I'm not sure. Let's try. Scale down the Baron, lighter pressure. Well, black is black, but texture, I don't know. Black, when you stand back and look at it, you know, if I said, hey, look at one of our prints, everybody would think, wonderful, wonderful. But when you get in close, the black has come up black, but it's still strongly textured. You see the streaks and white stripes and stuff in it. If I pull up the Iwano paper that we just did, again, standing back, black is black. The closer you get, the closer you get, the closer you get, the black is still black. This one, this is Corso paper now. Look at this, the black doesn't have solid, it doesn't have depth. What's somebody suggesting? Your second passports bounce in and out to Korea. Yeah, I gotta be careful, you know. I myself, I'm not Japanese, and if I get caught fooling around with stuff, then I would be in danger of losing my own residence permission. So I'm not going to play games. We're going to keep this thing on the up and up. What qualified me for a permanent resident visa? I don't know. I know I applied for it. It's many years ago now. I applied for it and they asked for quite a lot of documentation. What are you doing? What things have you done? They come and investigate the neighbors. The police came and interviewed the neighbors on both sides and people in my apartment block where I was living at the time. I can get more with that. I need that. But the rules for permanent residence now have totally changed. It's much, 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 much easier. I've heard now there's people even getting it within 1 year. Back when I was at it, it was a minimum of 10 years. Just think about it. And now there's new classes of permanent residents that were given in 1 year. Japan is starting to get desperate. The ladies here are not making babies. Listen to me say that. Yeah. My ladies are making babies, but overall, as a whole, the population is not making enough kids. We're in population decline. And immigration is the only way through. Someone's asking, could we use this new paper without sizing? No, it's absolutely impossible. Without sizing, this paper collapses in a pile of fluffy fragments when you make it wet. It's like if you were asking me to use some Kleenex paper or some toilet paper to print, you can't do it without sizing. it's just a loose mash of fiber. You can't possibly put it on a wood block and print it. You know? Maybe you said, Dave, just please try it. I mean, it just doesn't work. You know, the sizing is what holds this thing together. I would sell this. It's still a test, but again, this is Iwano paper. Come in, you can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and the black stays black. The blue texture is nice blue texture. Someone's asking about Korean papers. I don't have any idea. I know there are Korean papers that are the same raw material. It's the same mulberry fibers that we use. I have absolutely no experience, so I can't pontificate about this. But when you look at the ingredients list, some of the Korean papers are the same paper as we use here. Chinese papers, any one that I've ever seen, are not suitable for this. They are far too thin. There's not enough density of the mat. They're designed for calligraphy. This is why Chinese woodblock prints are a bit more simplistic than the Japanese ones. They don't have overlaid color, they have side-by-side color. And they're not registered anywhere near as critically and carefully as the Japanese prints are registered, because the paper doesn't have the requisite depth and body. It's Chinese papers. But Korea being in that in-between situation, maybe they've got papers of both types. I don't know. Ghost, the crows are in the mist also. Okay, this is the second impression. Yeah, it's stuck. It's pulling up hairs strongly. Yes, so it's the Corso paper after 2 impressions. And again, it's not a perfectly fair test because I'm still using quite a bit of the same printing system as I did for Iwano-san's paper. And when you use the same things, the Corso paper won't do it. You can see. So anyway, mixed results from this testing. I know I'm very happy about the block said on the print. I mean, I knew myself that this was going to work because I made myself 200 copies of this print back when I was publishing my own prints. So the complaints from some of the staff here that the block set is not so good, I'm really going to just sit down with them and show them what I did and work out a better paste pressure mixture that will make the prints. But as far as the other part of this testing, the new paper, it's still up in the air. It's not looking 100% good. clearly going to have to struggle with finding a way to use this paper. Mr. Sellis is back in the stream this morning, is he? How's the print selling, sir? Our design. Someone's asking about a storage box for prints. The wood we use for our own prints always now is paulownia wood. It's the wood that from hundreds of years going back in Japan has been used for storage. Kimono storage boxes are made of paulownia wood. Any kind of art storage, if you've got a box with a famous teacup or something like this in it, it's always made from paulownia wood. It's called kiri in Japanese. It's light, it's easy and clean to cut, it's beautiful, and so they tell me, I don't know this, but so they tell me, it keeps out bugs. Bugs don't like it. There's some kind of smell or taste or texture or something. And items stored in paulownia boxes apparently are safer from things like bookworms and bugs and stuff like that. I don't know that from personal experience, but that's what they say. And we use paulownia for all of our storage boxes here. Can you see that? Can you see the tint on the moon? There is a tiny tint there now. Just it's a patchy. There, that's Iwano-san's paper. I'm happy. If this had been done a bit more carefully, that would be a saleable print. You know, no problem. This next one is Sawaki-san's paper. And again, it's not a fair comparison because I'm just using the same technology for Iwano-san that I did for this, and it doesn't work. We're still struggling with how to vary the thing. More water, less paste. But still, at the end of the day, it still doesn't want the seam to take good pigment pickup. And I'm suspecting it's going to be it's not going to work for us, you know, in its current formulation. This next one is another Iwano sheet, and again, it's come up nice. I wasn't too careful with the gradation, but this would be quite usable. And the last sheet in the test again is Sawaki-san's paper. So mixed feelings, mixed feelings, mixed feelings. I'm going to send the blocks back to the girls for printing and making more editions. And I'll be sending some of these comparisons. That's why I did this. These sheets are going to go to Sawaki-san. I'm going to be mailing them to Sawaki-san so he can see side by side the kind of situation we're facing here. I don't know, probably from the camera where you're seeing, they probably look okay, but I'm sorry, it's not. They're totally different. Can I somehow get it side by side? I'm not really quite sure. The one on my left, this side, is Iwano-san's paper. And this one is the Corso paper. And I'm not worried about the color tone difference. You know, like I said, this paper is white and bleached. This paper is a natural tone. And I like that. I'm happy with the color tone. The problem we're having is the depth of the finished impression. Yeah. So what I would like, actually, I'd like a paper that's as strong and as vibrant as Iwano-san's paper with the color and texture and tone of Sawaki-san's paper. But Iwano-san is very rigid. They won't do their living national treasure. They won't change their formulations. They won't do anything. They're totally inflexible. You can't talk to them about anything. Paper is paper. That's all you can do. You can order a couple of different sizes of it, dimensions, but you can't ask for a different type of paper. They're legally obligated not to change things because they take the money from the government to be a living national treasure. Sawaki-san, on the other hand, he's experimenting and experimenting and experimenting. So where it will go, I don't know. Okay, gang, what time is it? 9:26. I'm out of here. The shop today is not so busy. Yesterday we were packed. We did 4 print putties yesterday. And because one of the girls was off, I was down there. So I was exhausted by the end of the day. Absolutely exhausted. Today should be easier. Okay, what we'll be doing tomorrow. Tomorrow's what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I can leak the information. I'm going to be making this paper wet sometime today. And starting tomorrow, I will be printing another 100 copies of the winter Patreon chibi. I don't have the blocks handy here, but we thought about this in advance. When I started the Patreon system, we knew that things might change and more people might come along bit by bit as we were doing this. So I made